What's up guys and welcome back. Today in this video we are going to be reviewing Bloodborne issue 11 by Titan Comics. Now this is the penultimate comic in the series of 4, so this is comic book 3 of 4. And once again it is written, coloured and the art is done by Ale Cott, Peter Kwilinski and Brad Simpson. So this series is a Song of Crows and it focuses primarily on the character of Eileen the Crow. Before we get into the review of the comic, I'm going to show you each of the variant covers for issue 11. Now this is cover A and this one is pretty basic. We just see Eileen the Crow there. She has a sword ready to use, her daggers. And there's some weird emblem in the background, I'm not quite sure what that is at the moment, and we have this like red stripe through the middle of the screen, which one would presume would be blood. You can tell it looks a bit like blood, so yeah, it's pretty basic, but you do get to see Eileen with a action stance, which is cool. Now I'm struggling to think of which is my favourite out of the next two covers, but this is cover B, and this one here is like a silhouette sort of transparent image of Eileen Crow with a backdrop of the moon and stars, it looks like. What we can see is through the image of Eileen the Crow there, is that you can see the city of Yharnam, and we also see down here, which I didn't even notice at first, is just a bunch of wolves and they're all in red, like blood red. And yeah, this one's a badass cover once you actually get to look at it and look at all the little details in it. So yeah, this is a really awesome cover. And last but not least is cover C. Now this one I think depicts the cathedral area after you've fought the hunter on the clock tower, and this one shows the big kind of blood-starred beast character and it's hanging from the ceiling. If you play the game you definitely would have remembered walking through this area and seeing this giant thing. So yeah, we get to see this in art form and it's a beautiful piece of art. We see the hunter down in the corner there, which isn't actually Eileen by the looks of things. It looks just like a standard hunter. So yeah, this is a really badass cover as well, one of my favourites so far in this series of A Song of Crows. So now let's get into the review of this issue. Now the first thing that struck me about this issue is that there is literally about 3 or 4 words of dialogue in the entire thing. So the whole story is told through visuals, which is great if you want to use your imagination and really dig into what's happening, like the themes and stuff. It's very dreamlike. That's one thing I will say about this whole series, but this one even more so. So this issue is very dreamlike, very lucid, nightmare sort of thing, and we see a lot of cool art in this one, lots of use of colours. I thought one of the coolest parts in the very beginning of this issue is the way we see different perspectives. We see a crow looking at Eileen and we see what Eileen's looking at, and then we see what the thing that Eileen's looking at is looking at the crows. So you get this kind of like 3-point perspective of what they're looking at and what they're thinking about, just shown purely by visuals. And yeah, really love this scene. In the previous one there was teased that we're going to be seeing the College of Byrgenwerth, and we do get to see that in this one. We don't really get to see inside, but we do get to see a few shots of the outdoors. And if you know what's in the area of Byrgenwerth, you probably have a good idea about where this sort of series is going. One thing that really stood out to me as well was the fact that we're seeing Byrgenwerth and the lake area in a completely different light. We're seeing it in the snow and in daylight, and it looks really like beautiful. It looks awesome. We have like the purple skies with the red sun as well, the red moon. So it all works together, the whites, the reds and like the pink purple hues. With this being all visual, we do get quite a few 2-page spreads in this one, and let me tell you, all of them look stunning. There's ones where you can see like reflections in the water of things that are happening above the water, and it just looks like it's very symmetrical and very satisfying just to look at. There are a few 2-page spreads which consist of literally just small panels that are all in sync with each other. They're all kind of like the story being told as these panels are going towards the center. One thing I will say is they do kind of repeat that in reverse in a later panel, so it's kind of like a symmetry sort of thing. But I won't say it's a negative, but there aren't that many things going on in this one, so I would have liked to see more plot progression, I guess. But I guess they're saving that for the final issue, issue 12. As with the Healing Church comic, where we saw sort of transitions between things with the pendulum blade and the moon and stuff like that, there's a lot of that in this one as well, with the moon and the lake. And that's one thing that the water does very well, is reflect, and this one is all about the reflections of 2 kind of worlds. You see what's going on above and on below the water, and yeah, that's a theme that goes through Bloodborne. There's like duality and just the dark and the light and what's going on really. I know I'm kind of ranting here, but I really don't know how to explain this one in depth because I don't really have many notes or anything. What you really come away with from this issue is that we get to see the transcendence, I guess, of being granted eyes, which is something that we see in the game, where they have to go through a certain kind of ritual to be able to see the cosmic beings and see what's really going on in Yharnam. And this whole issue is focusing basically on that, and we get to see what happens. So it's very cool to see, and it's very beautiful to see as well, of all these different panels of art and just the way the reflections work. So they did a good job of just making it feel like magical and fantastical, even if it's like this really dark version of that. So we've one issue left. I'm not sure where it's going to go in the next one. We get a tease that we may be going into areas such as Bergenworth inside, so that would be very cool to see. Overall, this issue was like a marvel to look at. Like I said, there's not much dialogue, so there's not much to chew on and not much to basically like solidify what's going on. It's all interpretations of your own mind and what's going on. So I do like that. That is kind of cool, and it's very much like the lore in Bloodborne. That's how you figure out what's going on. You have to work it out yourself, and you always have your own interpretations of what's going on. Anyways, I hope you've enjoyed this review. Let me know your comments down below in the comments section. Did you enjoy this issue? Are you intrigued by what's happening and what happened in the whole ritual thing? Anyways, so that's going to be it for this review. I hope you enjoyed it. Let me know your thoughts down below in the comments section. Let me know what you thought of this issue and the art, and just the fact that there's zero dialogue basically. There's a few lines. And let me know what you would also like to see after A Song of Crows, because there are so many different avenues they could go down with characters, themes, and like factions within the world of Yharnam. I would love to see something of like the School of Mensis. Anyways, I'll see you guys with the final issue coming very soon.